The 1917 one-dime coin of the United States, bearing the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, represents one of the most iconic and artistically celebrated pieces of early 20th century American coinage. Officially, it belongs to the Winged Liberty Head series, though it is affectionately and popularly known as the Mercury dime, a nickname that arose from the coin's design. Many casual observers mistook the youthful female figure wearing a winged cap on the obverse for Mercury, the Roman messenger god, due to the resemblance of the wings to those of Mercury's traditional helmet. However, the United States Mint clarified that the figure was not Mercury at all, but rather Liberty personified, a symbolic representation of freedom of thought, enlightened spirit, and democratic ideals. This coin was designed by Adolf A. Weinman, one of the foremost sculptors and engravers of the early 1900s, whose other major contribution to American coinage was the Walking Liberty half-dollar, another masterpiece of classical beauty. The Mercury dime was first issued in 1916, replacing the long-running Barber dime series that had been in circulation since 1892. The change came as part of a broader artistic revitalization of U.S. coin designs initiated during the administration of President Theodore Roosevelt, who had earlier urged the U.S. Mint to elevate the aesthetic quality of the nation's currency to match the dignity of its global status. Weinman's design was chosen for its elegant balance of symbolism and realism, showing Liberty in profile, facing left, with wings sprouting from her Phrygian cap, a traditional emblem of liberty and freedom dating back to ancient Rome and the French Revolution. Around the border of the obverse appear the words Liberty and In God We Trust, along with the date 1917 below Liberty's neck. The placement and spacing of these inscriptions were carefully designed to frame the portrait gracefully, without overpowering it. The motto, In God We Trust, which had appeared on U.S. coins since the Civil War era, served as a reflection of the spiritual and moral ideals that many Americans felt were intertwined with the nation's democratic mission. On the reverse, the one-dime denomination appears at the bottom, surrounded by a wreath of olive branches encircling a central design, a fasces, a bundle of rods tied around an axe. This ancient Roman symbol signified unity and lawful authority, the idea that strength arises from many individuals bound together in a common cause. The olive branch interwoven with it stood for peace, creating a dual symbolism, strength and peace through unity. It was an apt metaphor for a nation emerging as a world power in the aftermath of the First World War, which was raging during 1917. The year 1917 itself lends the coin additional historical depth. The United States had entered World War I that same year, joining the Allied powers in the fight against Germany and its allies. As American soldiers prepared to serve overseas, symbols of liberty and unity gained renewed significance. Coins like the Mercury dime circulated widely across a nation mobilized for war, passing through countless hands, from factory workers producing military supplies to farmers, shopkeepers, and soldiers' families. Each dime carried with it not only monetary value, but also a subtle reminder of national purpose and resilience. The coin was struck in 3 U.S. Mint facilities that year: Philadelphia, No Mint Mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. The Mint mark, when present, appears on the reverse, near the bottom left of the fasces. Production numbers varied by mint, with the Philadelphia Mint typically issuing the largest quantity. Most 1917 dimes were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, giving the coin both durability and intrinsic value. The composition meant that each dime contained approximately 0.07234 troy ounces of silver, which in modern bullion terms contributes to its collectible worth beyond its nominal 10-cent denomination. From a numismatic perspective, the 1917 Mercury dime is a common but highly cherished coin, especially in well-preserved condition. Circulated examples are easily found today, showing light wear but retaining much of their beauty. However, uncirculated specimens, those with sharp details, full bands across the fasces, and original luster, are prized by collectors. Coins with full bands designation indicate that the horizontal bands on the fasces are fully struck and distinct, a sign of exceptional die quality and strike precision. Such coins can command significantly higher prices at auction. Beyond its physical details, the Mercury dime embodies an era in which art, industry, and ideology converged. The early 20th century was a time of profound transformation in America, rapid urbanization, industrial growth, and a growing sense of global responsibility. The dime's imagery reflected these dynamics, the classical form symbolizing next top. The 1918 S1 dime Liberty coin is a fascinating relic of early 20th century American history, symbolizing the nation's ideals of freedom, faith, and resilience during a time of global upheaval. Minted in San Francisco, as denoted by the small s beneath the date, this dime belongs to the series commonly called the Mercury dime, though its official name is the Winged Liberty Head dime. It was struck from 90% silver and 10% copper, measuring 17.9 millimeters in diameter and weighing 2.5 grams. Designed by the renowned sculptor Adolf A. Weinman, the obverse front features the head of Liberty wearing a winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought. Because of the cap's resemblance to the Roman god Mercury's winged helmet, collectors soon gave it the nickname Mercury dime. Around Liberty's portrait are the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, affirming both national ideals and the enduring American faith tradition. The year 1918 marks a poignant period, just after the end of World War I, when the U.S. was transitioning from wartime to peacetime production, and patriotic coinage like this served as a quiet reminder of the country's unity and moral strength. On the reverse back, the design displays a fasces, a bundle of rods bound together with an olive branch, a classical Roman symbol of strength through unity and peace through justice. The olive branch softens the militaristic imagery of the fasces, suggesting that true strength lies in peaceful cooperation rather than aggression. The mint mark S indicates that this particular coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint, which produced about 19.3 million dimes that year, making it one of the more common dates in the Mercury series, though high-grade specimens with full details on the bands of the fasces, known to collectors as full bands, FB, are prized and can be quite valuable. Coins in circulated condition typically show wear on Liberty's hair and the wings, as well as on the bands of the fasces, which makes well-preserved examples especially desirable to numismatists. Historically, the Mercury dime series ran from 1916 to 1945, replacing the Barber dime and eventually succeeded by the Roosevelt dime. Yet among all American silver coinage, the Mercury dime is often regarded as one of the most artistic and emblematic of the nation's spirit. The 1918 issue captures the optimism and dynamism of post-war America, a time when the country was emerging as a global power while reaffirming its foundational values of liberty, faith, and unity. Today, this coin stands as both a work of miniature art and a historical testament, a small silver disc carrying the weight of a nation's ideals, minted more than a century ago, still gleaming with the promise and beauty that define the American story. Next top. The 1919 D1 dime Liberty coin is a captivating piece of early 20th century American numismatic history that embodies the nation's enduring ideals of liberty, faith, and strength during a time of transformation. Officially titled the Winged Liberty Head dime, but popularly known as the Mercury dime, it was designed by the gifted sculptor Adolf A. Weinman, whose artistry also graced the famous Walking Liberty half-dollar. The obverse of the coin features a youthful figure of Lady Liberty, wearing a winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought and the pursuit of intellectual liberty, a theme that resonated deeply with Americans emerging from the turmoil of World War I. Because the winged cap resembles that of Mercury, the Roman messenger god, the coin quickly gained its familiar nickname. Inscribed around Liberty's portrait are the words Liberty and In God We Trust, while below her neck appears the date 1919, marking a period of hope and rebuilding in the aftermath of war and the devastating influenza pandemic of 1918. The tiny D mint mark, located on the reverse near the bottom to the left of the E in 1, signifies that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado. The 1919 D issue had a mintage of approximately 9,939,000 coins, making it moderately common in lower grades but quite scarce in well-preserved or uncirculated condition, particularly with sharply defined full bands on the reverse. The reverse of the coin carries a striking image, a fasces, an ancient Roman bundle of rods tied together around an axe, representing strength through unity and the authority of law, entwined with an olive branch, symbolizing peace. This thoughtful pairing perfectly encapsulates America's post-war ideals, peace maintained by strength and justice guided by moral integrity. Around the reverse are the inscriptions United States of America, 1 dime, and the national motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, a tribute to the unity of the states. The coin's composition of 90% silver and 10% copper, with a weight of 2.5 grams and a diameter of 17.9 millimeters, gives it both intrinsic and historical value. Each 1919 D dime carries within its small silver frame a reflection of an America standing between the old and new centuries, industrial yet idealistic, weary from war but hopeful for peace. The artistry of Weinman's design, with its delicate details and classical inspiration, stood out as a masterpiece compared to earlier, more utilitarian coinage, making it one of the most beautiful coins ever issued by the United States Mint. From a numismatic perspective, the 1919 D Mercury dime is a cherished collectible not only for its historical context but also for its rarity in high grades. Most coins circulated heavily due to post-war economic activity, and only a fraction survived in mint condition. Specimens with full bands, FB, meaning the horizontal bands on the fasces are fully separated and distinct, are especially prized, as they indicate a strong strike and minimal wear. Depending on condition, this coin's value can range from a few dollars in worn grades to several hundred or even thousands for pristine, uncirculated examples with full bands. Beyond its market worth, however, the coin's true beauty lies in its symbolism and artistry. The motto, "In God We Trust," echoes the country's faith and resilience. The winged liberty represents thought, progress, and hope, and the fasces and olive branch together convey America's ideal balance between peace and preparedness. Minted over a century ago, the 1919 D Mercury dime remains a small but powerful emblem of American identity, uniting art, history, and national values in a single silver piece that continues to shine, much like the spirit of the nation it represents. Next top. The 1923 S1 dime, commonly referred to as the 1923 S Mercury dime, stands as a small yet significant artifact of American history, embodying the artistry, economic conditions, and social spirit of the early 20th century United States. Struck at the San Francisco Mint, as indicated by the small S mint mark on the reverse side, this dime is part of the beloved Winged Liberty head design series, which ran from 1916 to 1945. Although it is popularly known as the Mercury dime, that name is something of a misnomer. The image on the obverse, or front, of the coin is not the Roman god Mercury, but rather Liberty herself, personified as a young woman wearing a Phrygian cap, a symbol of freedom and adorned with wings. These wings represent freedom of thought, a concept deeply valued by Americans during the turbulent decades between World War I and World War II. The word liberty crowns the top edge of the coin, while the national motto, "In God We Trust," appears to the left of Liberty's neck, affirming the nation's enduring spiritual and moral values. Beneath her neck lies the year of issue, 1923, and, just below the olive branch and fasces on the reverse, the small S mint mark confirms its origin at the San Francisco facility, which was responsible for producing fewer coins that year compared to the Philadelphia Mint. The Mercury dime design was created by Adolf A. Weinman, a German-American sculptor whose other famous work includes the Walking Liberty half-dollar. Weinman's artistic vision captured the classical beauty and youthful optimism of a nation still emerging as a global power. The coin's reverse side features a fasces, a bundle of rods tied together with a leather strap and an axe blade protruding from the top. This ancient Roman symbol signified unity and strength, reminding citizens that the power of the nation lay in the strength of its people working together. The fasces is encircled by an olive branch, representing peace, creating a powerful dual message that peace is desirable, but it must be protected by strength. Around the design runs the inscription, United States of America, with the denomination 1 dime at the bottom. Between these two phrases appears the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. Together, the elements of this coin represent the enduring ideals of the United States: liberty, unity, peace, and faith, expressed not just through words, but through the timeless language of art. When the 1923 S-dime was minted, the United States was experiencing a period of post-war recovery and social transformation. The Roaring Twenties had begun, characterized by economic growth, jazz music, new technologies, and changing cultural norms. Automobiles, radios, and motion pictures were becoming widespread, and for the first time, ordinary Americans were participating in a mass consumer economy. However, the prosperity of the 1920s was not evenly distributed, and economic challenges lingered in agricultural and working-class communities. The San Francisco Mint, located in California, primarily served the western United States, which at the time was still less industrialized and more dependent on mining, farming, and regional trade. Thus, dimes produced at this mint were often used in everyday transactions, buying groceries, paying streetcar fares, or purchasing newspapers, and many circulated heavily. This explains why the 1923 Mercury dime is relatively scarce in high grades today. Most examples saw extensive use, resulting in significant wear that diminished their details. Collectors, therefore, prize well-preserved specimens, especially those graded mint state, MS, or with a full bands, FB, designation, which refers to the clearly defined horizontal lines across the fasces on the reverse. In terms of mintage, approximately 6,440,000 dimes were struck at the San Francisco Mint in 1923, a relatively modest number compared to the tens of millions struck at other mints in different years. Because of this limited mintage and the typically weak strikes associated with the San Francisco issues, the 1923 S-dime has become one of the key semi-scarce dates of the Mercury dime series. The coin's rarity is not so much in its absolute numbers, but in the condition of surviving examples. Finding one with sharp details, lustrous surfaces, and no signs of wear is particularly difficult. Even in lower circulated grades such as fine, F12, or very fine VF20, the coin holds respectable collector value. In higher grades like mint state 65 or better, it can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially when certified by grading services such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. A 1923 Mercury dime with full bands designation is particularly desirable because it indicates that the dies were well struck and preserved, allowing the fasces' intricate design to appear crisp and complete, a detail often lost in weaker strikes. Beyond its N.